For decades, a silent, simmering hostility has defined the relationship between Iran and Israel. But now, that covert animosity has finally exploded into open warfare, a dangerous escalation neither side seemed to truly want, yet here we are. What was once a shadow war, a conflict fought in the dark, away from the public eye, fought through proxies with funding, training and weapons funneled to non-state actors, and through the invisible battleground of cyber attacks, has now become a direct military confrontation, with both nations' armed forces engaging in open combat. This dangerous shift is threatening to engulf the entire Middle East in flames. The world now watches with bated breath as these two regional powers exchange fire in a deadly dance of escalation, risking a wider, more devastating conflict that could draw in other nations. It's easy to forget that their relationship wasn't always defined by such hostility. There was a time when Iran not only recognized Israel, but also cooperated with them quietly on various fronts. But the seismic shift of the 1979 Islamic Revolution fundamentally transformed Iran's stance on the world stage, irrevocably turning former partners into bitter, implacable enemies. Over the years, Iran strategically built a network of proxies, most notably Hezbollah in Lebanon, while Israel consistently struck Iranian targets in Syria, attempting to curb their regional influence. Israel also allegedly sabotaged Iranian nuclear facilities, setting back their nuclear program. For years, both sides maintained a fragile balance, carefully avoiding an all-out war that neither truly desired, until a series of escalatory events in June 2025 shattered that precarious understanding. Now, direct military strikes on each other's sovereign territory have pushed the already volatile region into dangerous, uncharted territory, with potentially catastrophic consequences. The immediate trigger was Iran's nuclear program. On June 12, 2025, the UN's nuclear watchdog declared Iran non-compliant, confirming fears it was close to building a nuclear weapon. With diplomacy stalled, Israel launched surprise airstrikes on Iranian military sites and nuclear sites. The attacks were broad and overt, aiming to cripple Iran's nuclear ambitions. Iran retaliated with missile barrages on Israeli cities, marking the first direct strikes of this scale. Both sides vowed further action, ending the era of shadow warfare. The rapid escalation plunged the region into open, full-scale conflict. The eruption of this intense conflict sent shockwaves rippling across the globe. News outlets scrambled to cover the unfolding events, and international organizations braced for the potential fallout. The United States, under the leadership of President Trump, swiftly aligned itself with Israel, signaling a firm commitment to its long-standing ally. This support quickly manifested in military action, with the U.S. joining Israel in striking Iranian nuclear sites, a move that dramatically escalated the stakes. These strikes marked a dangerous turning point, rapidly escalating the conflict from a localized issue to a full-blown regional war, with potential consequences for the entire area. In response, the United Nations and various European nations issued urgent calls for restraint, attempting to de-escalate the situation through diplomatic channels. However, their influence on the ground proved to be limited, as the parties involved seemed determined to pursue their objectives regardless of international pressure. Russia and China, both with significant interests in the region, strongly condemned the strikes, viewing them as a destabilizing force. They issued stern warnings about the potential for further destabilization, emphasizing the need for a peaceful resolution to the crisis. Meanwhile, Iran's proxy forces, including groups like the Houthis in Yemen, began to mobilize, preparing to enter the fray. These groups issued explicit threats of attacks on regional targets, raising the specter of a wider conflict. This heightened the already palpable fears of a broader war, as civilians braced themselves for the potential consequences. Adding to the sense of unease, former CIA Director Leon Panetta issued a stark warning, cautioning that increased U.S. involvement could easily spark a regional conflagration, drawing in multiple actors and escalating the violence. The complex web of alliances and rivalries in the Middle East meant that the conflict had the potential to ignite multiple flashpoints simultaneously. This created a highly volatile situation across the Middle East, threatening to destabilize the entire region. As tensions soared and military activity intensified, the world faced the very real risk of a much wider war, a scenario that could have devastating consequences for all involved. The war's most tragic cost is human life. Within 2 weeks, hundreds have died, civilians on both sides including women and children. Missile strikes have turned cities into battlegrounds, with families caught in the crossfire. The humanitarian crisis deepens daily. Economically, the war has sent oil prices soaring, threatening a global energy crisis. Iran's threats to close the Strait of Hormuz could cripple world oil supplies. Analysts warn of rising inflation and economic instability worldwide. The conflict's fallout is global, affecting households and businesses everywhere. The world stands at a critical crossroads, a moment of profound decision. The choices we make now will reverberate across generations. One path leads to further escalation, a dangerous spiral of actions and reactions. This path promises regional war, an increase in death and suffering, and ultimately global instability that could affect us all. The consequences are dire and far-reaching. Another path, a more hopeful one, begins with a ceasefire, a cessation of hostilities. This ceasefire must be brokered by skilled international mediators, individuals dedicated to finding common ground. The goal is to halt the violence, to silence the guns, and to open a channel for meaningful dialogue. The most hopeful outcome, the one we must strive for, is renewed diplomacy, a sustained effort to find peaceful resolutions. This could involve a comprehensive agreement limiting Iran's nuclear program, ensuring transparency and accountability. This agreement could be forged in exchange for economic relief, offering Iran a path towards prosperity and stability. Achieving lasting peace will require immense political will, courage, and a willingness to compromise on all sides. The choices made now by leaders in Tehran, the decisions they take in the coming days, will have a profound impact. And in Jerusalem, the path forward must be chosen with wisdom and foresight. And in Washington, a commitment to diplomacy is essential. These choices made in these capitals will shape history for years to come. As global citizens, connected by our shared humanity, we must stay informed, engaged, and actively support calls for peace and understanding. The cost of war is devastating, leaving scars that last for generations. Only diplomacy, with its patient and persistent efforts, offers a viable path to lasting stability and a brighter future for all.